better appreciation of how well we're actually doing, considering we only had one fatality this year, and again, that was sadly a gentleman who decided to hitch a ride on the TTC bus by hanging on the back on the outside and fell off, and obviously had some serious head injuries from which he passed away. So, given the totality of how busy it is in our city, how busy our streets are, this is a 30-day reflection. And when I look at week by week, which is how we look at it in our crime management meeting, we have certainly seen a trend down in the amount of collisions that are on our street. So we're seeing a positive change. We're seeing less of collisions. And we're going to head into winter. When the weather starts to change, we'll see a change.
And the next map actually shows some of the initiatives that we have here at 43 Division as far as addressing the collisions. What we have here is on a weekly basis, I present to our crime management meeting where the collisions were for the preceding week. And then what I do is I overlay where we're going to do our enforcement for that same week. And this is just an example of one of the weeks we use. This is September 5th to 10th. And as you can see, the collisions are in the red dots. And you can also see that we've done a lot of enforcement. If you look at the preceding map, there's an awful lot of collisions along Lawrence here. You can see how much enforcement we were actually doing at that time. So it seems to be working. Our collisions are coming down, and we're getting a lot of positive response from the community. So.
The coming week, our focus is going to be on two things as far as traffic enforcement is concerned. Markham and Ellesmere, we have seen a cluster of collisions in that area. We feel it's, I believe, tied to some construction that had been taking place there. We're going to be focusing our efforts there. Be aware. And we're also telling our officers to be aware of distracted driving. So our officers will be looking for people on their cell phones, either texting or speaking using their hands as well. We've been told this week to focus on that. Be aware. Fair warning to everybody.
And we'll move on. Our next map is break-and enters that we experienced in the last month, that being September. These are divided by patrol areas. We have 5 in this division, and basically those are just areas for the purposes of mapping and dispatching officers to areas. We have been having a problem lately with some apartment break-and enters, and in regards to those apartment break-and enters, I would urge everybody who's watching, as well as those of you who are here, don't let strangers into your building. When they just try and slide in, you know, just let them talk to the superintendent. If you don't know them, don't let them in. If they're buzzing you and you're in your apartment and you don't know who they are, don't let them in if you want them. Because unfortunately, we do have some issues with some gentlemen that are going into apartments at this time.
Target hardening is always something that we encourage people to do. Lock the doors. And it's surprising how many times we go to a victim of a break and enter and they think they lock the door. They're pretty sure, but they're not 100%. And it's sometimes something I think about, you know, when I'm driving to work, I'm still on my street and thinking, no, I'm not sure. Don't be crazy, but I drive back home. I do. If I'm not, sometimes you get into that state, that zone that you're thinking about the next thing, or you think about work, and I don't recall whether I've locked the door. And if I don't recall, I turn around and go home and make sure that door is locked. Make sure you take responsibility for the things that you have worked very hard to purchase. And lock the doors. And that goes for your cars as well. But those little steps, and what the detective has said about being aware of those in your building. If you're leaving your apartment in the morning and there's people on your floor, you don't know them, they don't seem to be doing something of purpose, raise the alarm bells, give us a call. Somebody suspicious on your floor. As I mentioned in the last CPLC meeting, we got one of those calls, and and were able to quickly attend the scene and arrested somebody who was breaking into that apartment. So your assistance is greatly appreciated, and when we get it in a timely manner, we can act on it and prevent these crimes.
We're also proactively, Julie, Campbell, and Paul are attending many apartment buildings throughout our division to put up some crime prevention kits in the communities and bulletin boards, and even as specific as in different languages, so that depending on the makeup of the building. So if you've identified or if you know any places in your circle of influence there that you think might benefit from this, let us know. Let us know what language you'd like to see that in, and we would certainly love to provide that information.
Okay, our next map represents the robberies that we've had over the month of September. What we're looking at here is, and you'll see this when we get to our stats, that we've had quite a decrease in robberies over what we were experiencing last year. And most of these take the form of street robberies, cell phones, that kind of thing.
Again, taking responsibility, we put out at the beginning of the summer a number of warnings about culturally sensitive jewelry, and I think the community responded to that. We've seen a reduction in those types of robberies. Youth that insist on walking around with headphones on, they're sending out a signal to anybody that sees that they're carrying some sort of a smartphone. Most the days of people carrying a cassette recorder are gone. The days of people carrying a CD player are gone. So people know you're wearing headphones, you've got a smartphone. And that just puts a target on you. You need to be cognizant of that. It's not good to be walking around the streets like that either, because you need people to hear cars coming, and see cars coming. So it is one of those things you need to take responsibility for your own safety or your own surroundings and be proactive.
We sometimes we look at the dashboard cameras that we have, and just recently I saw one where our officers are going stop at a red light, trying to proceed through, and they must stop and they proceed when it's safe to do so. There's a pedestrian who's wearing one of these things, completely unaware of the police car blaring a siren and the lights and everything, just completely unaware. You wonder about the level of that music, that not just makes you a target for theft, but also makes you a target for perhaps being involved in an accident. So that's important.
There's no tickets such as distracted walking.
No, there's no distracted walking there.
Okay,
Well, some people may have one in the hall here.
That's right, yeah. This map is representing our vehicle thefts that occurred over the month of September. We did have a little bit of a spike there in the Kingston Road area, but other than that, our stats are actually not too bad when it comes to this. So, and once again, make sure you lock your vehicles. Be cognizant, don't leave things lying around in your vehicle that would induce somebody to want to break in and steal it and with the vehicle. So.
Especially as we're approaching the Christmas season, make use of your trunks to put your belongings in if you're making many trips back and forth with the car. I'll let everybody know what shirt size I am later. But you make yourself a target for it, so it's always a lesson learned.
And here are our stats year to date. This is current up to, it is current up to date. I apologize. It says to September 11th, but it actually is to October 9th, which is this day today. I just filled these in about an hour ago. Basically, we're looking at a reduction in many things other than our break winners, which are up. We are addressing that. We've got all kinds of projects running, and we're working on that. As you can see, theft overs have gone up, and this is usually like theft that's over $10,000. And then our auto thefts have gone up a little bit as well. But our robberies, as you can see, are still down. down 36% from last year. And of course, most of last year we were running a large project to do addressing the street robberies, and it was successful. So. Do you want to comment, sir?
Last year, at the end of last year, we saw a, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, but I think it was a 25% reduction in sediment and crime indicators. So when you see this over a 2-year period, last year it was 25% reduction, this year was 2% reduction. That's 2% reduced for the 25%. So we're seeing a downward trend, which is a positive thing. We'd like to see more, but it's still very positive.
Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about is a robbery that occurred just yesterday at the GO train station down the road in Eglinton. And this is a synopsis of a media release we actually put out. I think it was just last night or early this morning we put this out. And this is our suspect here. And the reason I'm putting it up here is because this was quite a vicious robbery. The gentleman was stabbed. It was very serious. We've got this on Facebook. We put it out as a media release, and I'm hoping just by showing it to everybody here today and putting it live on our video that perhaps we may get some tips. You can call Crime Stoppers. You can send an anonymous tip into the web, or you can give us a call directly here at 1-416-808-4300 right to our phone number. Just two other things I wanted to talk about, a couple of trends that are occurring right now. There is a trend going on across the province of counterfeit U.S. $20 bills. So if you do see something like this, please call us. We'd like to catch this guy because apparently he's been all over the place. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was Christmas shopping. It's coming close. And at this time, people like to prey especially on older women who tend to be shopping. They'll engage you in conversation, and while you're talking to them about something, next thing you know, your wallet gets taken out of your purse or out of your shopping basket. So just be wary of people that come up and try and chat with you for no reason. Always keep your hand on your purse, make sure that your purse is closed, and if you want to talk to them, you don't have to. So. And that concludes my presentation for today. Anything else you want to say before I shut this off?
No, that's great. Moving on from the stats, I want to just close the loop on the issues that were raised in the last CPLC meeting. So we're going to start off with, if I could, Bruce Beach. So Bruce Beach was raised last week, and it was asked as a question more than a concern. We answered that question that we do spend time down there, as additional time as problems are brought to our attention. The parking around one of the religious facilities was discussed, but no real issue there was raised. So the first issue we'll go to is the drive race.
So, Karen's raised that issue there, and I can say that we put it out to all of our night shift cars or late afternoon cars, and they pay their attention to that area. Obviously, when there's a physical presence of the officers, people tend to do it less. So I'm not sure if you've noticed anything. I can tell you that our officers didn't issue any tickets, and I also passed on our traffic enforcement officers. Unfortunately, by the time they're off, it's sort of all still a little outside of the time you were saying, that they didn't notice any increase, or they didn't issue any tickets there.
It seems better before midnight. Now I'm been out as much after 12, so it's hard to say. Like
Cooler.
yeah, that too. But you know, it's all dictated on the little four-legged one, you know. So I haven't been out as much after midnight, but it seems to be a little better. I think part of it is it's now school season, and you know there's schools on that stretch as well. There's one.
My colleagues who run the platoons,
Yeah.
They're aware of it.
Yeah.
They're
Thank you.
regularly letting their people know, and so it's also true.
When people see police cars in the area, they tend to
Yeah,
slow
they
down.
tend to, it's kind of strange phenomenon.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay, the next issue was Common Square Plaza cars entering and exiting the roadway.
I'm gonna actually pass that on to Paul.
Yeah, so I went over, it was James Burchell, which I don't believe is here today, but we've been in constant communication with him.
Camera can't see you, man.
Oh.
Gotta come
Come
up.
on. You gotta see your good looking self.
Those are small road.
So, it was James Burchell, and I don't believe he's here today, but we've been in constant communication with him in regards, as was said, very busy intersection at McCown and Ellesmere. Just to give a little bit of perspective on that, it's within a minute of literally the world's busiest highway, 401 in that stretch. I thought it was North America's busiest highway. It's actually now the world's, in excess of 500,000 cars per day going by there within a minute. Just near to that are great corporate neighbors, Scarborough Town Center, 22 million visitors per year, 410,000 vehicles per day. So we did have 6 accidents there, 6 too many, but we do have to keep a little bit of perspective. James has been very good about keeping me in the loop with the City of Toronto and the traffic engineers, and he has created, the city has at his request, a number of reports that are going to be studied as far as increasing size of signage, increasing the green arrows to flow with traffic and such, but they are a work in progress right now. We do also have an enforcement detail that's going on. At the end of the day, though, I would argue that enforcement is the shortest term and least effective way compared to an actual proper setup of that intersection. And to give you a quick example, the OPP dealt with of course, many times, one I can think of in particular, 2 very busy roads that intersected, and they did enforcement, and they were able to temporarily slow that down to stop accidents. However, of course, we'd come back again until there was a traffic circle that was put in, and the accidents disappeared. There's not a traffic circle that's going to go up there. However, the long-term solution, with us assisting to enforcement, is going to be improvement of the signs and the signals and such. So we're going to support James. James knows that, and in constant communication with him, but the lead will be through traffic engineering. People that have many more letters behind their names than I do, okay, in engineering.
So that's a very long way of saying we haven't solved it yet.
Thanks for not calling.
Or as I say, status quo.
All right, guys. That closes the loop, so to speak, on last week's issues. And now is the time for you to raise any concerns that you have that you'd like to bring to our attention that we can work on.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Peggy Witt. I live at 90 Lane Road, and we've had concerns over the summer. Unfortunately, I didn't come to a meeting sooner than this, but with our neighbors, 4205 Lawrence Avenue East, Toronto Community Housing. We did have Paul come and talk with us last week because in the end of the summer, we had one of the, I think, tenants who lived there jump over the fence that we share and assaulted our property manager quite badly. And so I was told, I had talked to some of the property management there, and they said this issue had been brought up in this meeting, but I looked at the last meeting and it wasn't. So I really wanted to raise it here with you so that maybe you patrol the place a little bit more. I know right after the assault, I think a number of people were arrested, so it was quiet that week. But I guess it's really at night that people are sometimes yelling, screaming, loud music, that kind of thing. And it still continues. I know Paul said to try to get a pattern, but it's difficult. But just people are telling me, residents who especially are on the west side of the building, have this problem. It's worse this summer than it's ever been there, and I've lived there for about 5 years.
I can tell you that we do a lot of work in that area. My officers in particular have been responsible. That building specifically, I know for a fact we've executed some search warrants in that building and arrested some people from there. Maybe they're the same ones that are involved in this kind of activity. We tend to find that the solutions for these sort of problems is a combination of you relentlessly calling us when the activity is occurring, which is fundamentally important so that we can track it. And then we can, once we know the times and the dates that it's occurring, we can use our resources to tackle it at the right time, obviously in the right part of the building. That assault there, I think an arrest was made in that.
Oh, yes, yes. A few people were arrested at that time because I think some of the people assaulted the other police too. That's what I was told. So I've tried to keep on top of it with our property manager, Paul, and, sorry.
No, and one thing that we find is that oftentimes property management sort of takes a hands-off approach, but they're very much involved to the problem by evicting some of the problem people. I can tell you that we work very closely with Toronto Housing. We have a great relationship there, and we do start the process of getting those sort of tenants out of those buildings because they're just a magnet for crime. And so I'm glad that Paul spoke to your group, and we'll continue to work with you to address the issues that work there. It's something that goes beyond just enforcement. We can do a lot of enforcement, but like Paul said, much like campaigns, once we stop doing that enforcement, the people still live there and there's still a problem. So from that perspective, we'll work very closely with your management. We'll take that extra step. And I'll certainly speak to my officers about reaching out to management there and starting that process and see how we can support them to start the process of evicting some of these people.
We are having Quindy come to speak to us tonight from Toronto Community Housing. Oh. So we're having, you are coming to speak with us tonight between 6 and 7, so.
Yeah. And she was just speaking to my group there as well earlier today. She's been hanging around this building quite a bit today.
So thank you.
These are the sort of relationships we build when we try to foster. So we work together and recognize that it's not one of us that can solve it collectively. That's how things are solved long term. So I appreciate you bringing that forward, and we'll certainly work with you to accomplish that. I'll get all the details from Paul.
And just very quickly, Quinny and I have already spoken, and we knew each other would be obviously presenting, and then we'll be comparing findings and getting your report. It's a couple of very kind of short-term and easy solutions, and one I had seen and we've spoken to Quinny already is it's a couple of picnic tables, and not to take people's fun away, but it's right beside the fence, just so they don't have a meeting point and maybe possibly draw them to the other side. So that won't solve everything, but we've already been in contact and we'll harass each other after her meeting tonight.
An excellent example why this meeting is important. Because we get the right people that come here and the problem is solved right here, right now. Very good, thank you for the question.
Pertaining to the recent shooting at Markham's and Eglinton's, what was the nature, like what caused that shooting?
So I can't comment on the ongoing interest. No, but I do know that they have some direction. I was actually at a meeting with those two ladies right there this week with the residents. It was very well attended, and the residents are, we're mobilizing the residents there to create a safety council there, and we're going to participate in that safety council. So we're working there. In terms of the homicide, the only thing I'm at liberty to say is really that we believe that the answers to solving that and making an arrest lie within the residents in the building. The residents know who belongs and who doesn't. The residents would have been aware of the talk in the area, so we're encouraging people to contact us or contact crime stoppers. Oftentimes, it's not unique to 3171 in Eglinton, but oftentimes there's this feeling of fear. If I come forward, something will happen. And the only thing I encourage people to do, and I have in my role in the homicide squad before, is give us the opportunity to address your safety concerns. And once you feel comfortable, then you'll be able to provide that information. But oftentimes there's things that we can do and alleviate some concerns. People just don't give us that opportunity to do it. So I encourage anybody who may be watching this or anybody who's trying to know somebody who lives in the area who has some information, give us a call here. Thanks for starting Eklund. Seeing right there that we're going to introduce in just a few minutes. He just got here from Homicide Squad as well. So you can call either one of us and we're able to maybe walk you through, sort of thing, the concerns you have. That's all I can really say about it, except I don't believe it's not a random act of violence. I think that's pretty safe to say. But other than that,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering whether is it planned or is it because it's getting related or is it like a random thing?
I don't think it's random, other than that.
Okay, we'll take your word for it.
Okay.
So it's gonna be solved next week.
Well, it's half hour, right? Those talk shows are 1 hour, so
Yes.
half an hour would be solid.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else got any issues or concerns that you'd like to bring to our attention? Okay, well, we've had a mention of Detective Sergeant Dave Eklund. The sign in front of him says Jennifer Johnston. Just ignore that. Jennifer is now in maternity leave. She had a girl.
Awesome.
She was 6 pounds. 8 pounds. I think she was 6 pounds, 8 ounces. But, like 8 pounds?
I think it was 8 pounds.
8 months?
Wait. Oh, you were right, sir.
I had a niece born this week as well, so that could be the case. But anyway, Jen is away, and she's going to be off working here. And Dave has joined our team at 43 Division, and he will be joining the CPLC. So we welcome Dave to our team. Dave also comes to us from homicide, just like Peter. And we know we got Peter.
And we're still working on that too.
You want to say a few words, Dave, just introduce yourself or a little bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, please.
Like the superintendent said, my name is Dave Eklund. I do come from homicide. I spent almost 5 years there. I'm in my 19th year as a police officer with Toronto. I grew up in this area. I grew up at Bellamy and Lawrence. Cedar Brae was my high school, so I have a vested interest in this community, and I couldn't be happier to be here to continue my interest in this community. On my off time, I'm married. I have 2 young children, and I volunteer for Canadian Blood Services, which is also an organization that's near and dear to my heart. I come with a background, like I said, homicide. I worked in 41 Division in CIB, also as a road sergeant. I worked there. I did 2 years at the Provincial Biker Enforcement Unit, chasing around Hells Angels that were doing very bad things in this province. We locked up a lot of them there. I have a background in community relations, also 42 Division. Actually used to work at the substation for a small time here when I used to be on Lawrence. So I'm excited to be here. I've been here since last Monday. I'm totally impressed with the officers here and the work that they're doing. I come in here and everybody's smiling, everybody's willing to work, and it's fantastic. My life of homicide is a stressful time down there. Guys and girls are just, you walk in and their heads are just buried in the computer. They're working around the clock, and it's a stressful environment to work in. You come up here and it's nice, and not to say that homicide wasn't nice, but it is a totally different feeling, a totally different atmosphere. So I thank you for welcoming me, and looking forward to meeting all of you, being involved in this division.
More concerns? Community mobilization, you see Road, or something?
Uh-oh. Am I going to be verbally berated again if I say?
No.
Oh, no.
If you want, Randy has signed with that property. Guys, you're going to get tired of seeing me up here, but just obviously thanks again. It's always great to see such a fantastic crowd, and those that see this online, just marvel in comparison to other divisions who do a great job as well. It's such a fantastic turnout. As has already been said, we've been really trying to answer the superintendent's call about awareness for breaking letters. It's as far as major crime indicators, as we've seen, it is up. And as has also been said, by some really easy common sense steps, like making sure doors are locked, finding valuables and such, can make a big difference. And of course, you know, I'm always beating the drum about the little strike plate, $10 and like 90% reduction. So a big deal. We're always available if you want one of us to come out, either Julie and I, or Julie or I. If you like one of us better, it could be Julie every time I got it. And we can do crime prevention through environmental design and all sorts of stuff, okay? And I will read Randy's little sheet here. We originally had it on like parchment paper, and it was going like fast, and it was too much, so it's down to one paper. Good afternoon, everyone. My apologies for not being here, reading this out to you in person. I'm watching this event now, and if you're on Twitter, please follow the 43 CPLC hashtag for 43 Division community events and info, programs and initiatives, and some great info regarding crime prevention. In short, 43 Division continues to get our information out there in new and unique ways, and our list of community events continues to grow. We now advertise and are involved with dozens of activities in the area, including swimming, basketball, volleyball, dodgeball, yoga, Zumba, cardio and weightlifting, and martial arts. And congratulations to Maryland's recent win in the Masters weightlifting category. Congratulations. There's dance classes such as ballet and jazz, craft making and arts programs for younger kids, and baking classes for teens and adults. Some places we advertise are just where youth can go and hang out in a safe environment. Events are broken down by age, which they have to be, and there's even programs for older adults and seniors. These events run 7 days a week. The best part of these initiatives in 43 Division is that they're all completely free. We hear the media and community saying that there's not enough for youth to do and they need to keep busy. Well, here you go. We're the first division to get involved in this way, so please take advantage of the opportunities. We're almost done, guys. We advertise all these free events daily through social media, so please stay on the lookout. For those of you on Instagram, 43 Division now has an Instagram account, which allows us to connect with even more people who use that too. Our social media safety classes we run for adults and seniors are back, and we'll be running a class at 43 Division in November. It should be free of charge to anyone who would like to know how to navigate the world of social media. Crosscares has been a big help with all this, and I want to say a special thank you. If I was there, I'd give you a big kiss, but Paul promised me he'd do it for me today. Thank you for your support. We would be nowhere without it. Please watch our Facebook and Twitter accounts for upcoming news and events, and please call or email if you have any questions at all. Have a fantastic day. Randy Arsenal.
I'm done.
The next thing is,
You're dead. Put my hands on you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's kind of cold in here. Okay, so this is just an update on all the community events to go along with what was just said, but putting out more local stuff that has happened currently over the summer and the spring and what we're leading into. Community Connection, which is was done in a few communities around here and outside of the division, but more specifically in the division. Markham and Eglinton, Danzig, Mornell, Orton Park, and Lawrence and Susan. We held various free camps where we had computer online courses, we had bouncy castles, we had DJing, we had soccer, we had basketball. It doesn't matter, I mean, we had it all, and it was a free camp that we brought to the community. They didn't have to pay for anything, so we definitely engaged the community through there. It was an honor to have 43 Division show up. Officers are always showing up, whether they're called for noise complaints. It normally just ends up with being for electronic, so they just say, oh, it's okay. We had a dancing movie night, which was awesome. Over 100 people in the community came out. We stayed out till about maybe 12 a.m. I mean, it was just awesome to see everyone come out. Police came by and everyone was just, they came out of the car. They don't just drive by. And it was really nice to have an engagement going on there. We had the Dancing Free Haircut Day, which was preparing them just for school. You look and feel good, so there was free haircuts put on by Cut Above. The East Boys and Girls Club, East Harbor Boys and Girls Club, and Toronto Community Housing was involved in that. We had a Port Union Skate Day in the skate park when we launched that earlier in the summer. We had a Port Union Hockey Night. We go all over the community. The Timeless Ball, which a lot of people know, people are still speaking about that. That happened in Gilwood, where we had, it was around the prom time for the youth, so we had them dress up in their prom clothes, or just really just suits and ties and dresses, and they danced with seniors. Back then, they didn't really, which wasn't too long ago, but I mean, they had more barn dances, and this was something where, I mean, we literally had seniors step out of their wheelchairs, and these youth were dancing with them. And I felt unsafe for a little bit at the time, so I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was really like holding on, and yeah. There was another event called If I Ruled Scarborough with the East Boys and Girls Club. It happened a couple weeks ago with Toronto Community Housing and various other partners. There's 4 different parts in the city where it happened. If I Ruled Etobicoke, If I Ruled North York, various parts, and they're all going to come together for If I Ruled Toronto, which is the 2nd annual event, which happens in November, late November. So that's awesome too, to have the whole community involved in youth, really having a chance to either be the mayor or something like that, a day in the shoes of a community leader. Our So You Think You Can DJ events, they're going to be coming back on really soon. Can't wait. But Scarborough Town Center was very nice to have us host our 2nd annual, and we had Deputy Chief Mark Saunders out. Of course, we had 43 Division, because it's in 43 Division, and I mean, I can't stress enough that these events really go forward because there's police backing. I mean, it's one thing for the community to come together, it's another thing for the police to have just be the foundation and the backbone of the community, and to have the well-known faces, the Twitter handles, they're really getting out there. So it's amazing to be partnered with that, and it's a special thanks to Chief Blair, who brought this out years ago. And to have the fellow officers follow through with that and go forward with that, that's amazing. And to actually see it really happen in our community. Things coming up, we have Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Monday, I'll be taking part, but I mean, many others will be there. It's happening right at Markham and Painted Post. The Spice Shack has opened up. That was through PC SRO from Pope John Paul, which is Dave Simpson. He's following through with this, but he's invited me and various other people to come out. We're going to be serving people for Thanksgiving, so that's going to be awesome. And then later on that night, at East Scarborough Boys and Girls Club, there's going to be another free haircut, a hairdo for the girls. They can come also. This time we're opening it up to the girls, and that's going to be happening at the East Scarborough Boys and Girls Club. So once again, building confidence, engage in the community, and this is what we call community policing. Community engagement at its finest. Don't ever overlook an event. This is all for the community and being safe, and people actually feeling like they're a part of something, for their mental health, for their well-being. And we know when people are feeling healthy, they act great, and they go forward and they do great things. So thanks so much for partnering, and it's a pleasure to be a part of the CPLC.
Thank you, Joseph, but I did go with most of those events. And the funniest part was we had asked the men to dance at the Timeless Ball. I asked 6 and they all said no.
I got rejected once, just once.
When Sandy gave me a younger fellow, he agreed. There was agreement.
What I do can't be first dance.
It was midnight. Mike was going to say something about elder abuse, assembly.
Well, that's this morning's
This morning.
workshop. Yeah. Yeah, I was here.
I can speak. Melon?
Oh, myself, I was there. I remember Cecilia, Paul. I saw Peter now again. He was in and out. That proves this guy can be in every place at one time. He really works. He deserves a raise. I don't know. There he is. Anyways, this social services sponsored. Social Services Network sponsored. It's quite informative. They have all this, a lot of stats, a lot of information with regards to the elderly
older people, they call it the elder abuse. But within, they were addressing within the South Asian community. But I'm sure most people know that some of that stuff exists. And they have a lot of stuff there, and explaining that some people feel that when you say abuse, it's physical. It's not at all just restricted to physical. It's mental, financial, neglect, and all the other stuff. And there's some very, very serious stuff going on there. Having said that, my question to you is, where do we go from here? You know, with these things, we have all the information. So where do we go from here in terms of? And I concluded that that problem has to be solved within their own community, because they're very, very, which is apprehensive about accepting help or assistance from, especially the police. They have a basic apprehension of speaking with police. They trust, distrust, I don't know. And I'm sure the guys here, with me and many others, have experienced that. So, what do? And everything, whatever it is you're going to do, costs money. Who's going to fund it? So that's what we were talking about hereafter. And it was quite good to hear, first of all, see the representation here this morning. Police, the different divisions, and the different community groups that they're helping. And I asked her, having got all this information, have you brought it in to their community? This stuff. Here you are, guys. We have it. And what do you want to do? She says, yes, they have designed a different workshop. Good. And they're making some progress. But it's a horrendous job, because you know of these things, the authorities know of these things, and then the people who are affected, they are reluctant to accept help. And there are laws surrounding this stuff that they're maybe aware of, but the fear is so intense.
Mike, you're absolutely right. I don't think it's the South Asian community that was just the group that we were talking about today, but I can tell you that it transcends any ethnic group that there is in this city. And one of the biggest problems is the unreported crime that takes place, because a lot of people are just embarrassed, quite frankly, that it happened to them. And it's a big concern for our service, and it's something that we work really hard. Then you add the cultural component, where some people just have sometimes a general misgiving sort of dealing with the police, and then accepting help on top of that. It does make it an uphill battle, but you know, one way that we can do it doesn't cost us. One thing we can do about it, and it doesn't cost us a dime, is try to influence the people in this room here to go back to your communities and tell your people that the interaction you have with us and police in general, and encourage them to report it. They don't report it to us necessarily. They may let somebody in this room know about it. So that's one thing we can do, and that's something we work really hard to do. And hosting that workshop is another example of types of things we're always involved in, right across all cultural and ethnic lines.
The thing is not just convincing that the victims, because they're supported by, as they said, their children who walked in here.
Yeah.
Which prompted me to ask the question, is that the wise thing to do? Bring them to a strange place and they can't socialize, they can't communicate, transportation, they're dependent on somebody else. So, is it wise?
Canada is a great country. Why would
Sure
you
it
come
is.
here?
Sure it is. If you're young.
One of the things that they did come up with was trying to encourage people to get involved, their own spiritual leaders
Yes.
in their community. And to go from there, people that are outstanding, the local hero kind of thing. Get involved and get them involved. And it should help.
No, all very worthwhile, and we encourage you to take it back to your communities.
And thank you very much to the CPLC volunteers that came this morning. As I've said, it was very informative. And the people came today and were ready to learn. Unfortunately, they promised everyone coffee and snacks, but they didn't tell us that. And
Small detail.
Cecilia strapped her helmet down along with the other ones, and before we knew it, there was a spread at the back. I think you drove your Harley straight to Tim Hortons, I'm not sure, and came back with donuts, coffee, everything. And Divisional Policing Support Unit wanted to say thank you as well. You guys made us look like $1 million. So thank you very, very much.
Pros took over, Cecilia and Arnold, like that, bang, 2 seconds.
Yeah, they really did. Thank you.
Well, I passed the tiny police car somewhere along the way, and he just saw the street go by and didn't bother. So we couldn't more chasing.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yes, one officer's order, Mr. Shetland decided to take clear. And there was a classic reduction in crime and criminal on the side, so we let the following officers and then pass the product. And I would like to say thank you very much again, officers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good. Pastor, go ahead.
Mr. Meeting, I second this bench issues presented Peter Saddle. Both the politicians are listening very well. There's not an amount of dollars you put to what you guys do. And the country division is exceptional. Thank you, because you are a great leader. Leadership lead by example. Thank you, Superintendent, thank you, and all the staff. In my area, I know I don't one of the meetings. People are hanging around there. They are confused with great number because I've seen your staff moving around just by seeing the way they move around. Thank you very much. And I just hope the politician who inspired of the you can see it and stop using you guys as a scapegoats. Thanks again.
That's it, very clear.
Okay, I just wanted to ask Peter, we've got a nice sign here in front of us, and I'm going to ask Peter to explain.
I really have no clue. No, Improve was a project that one of our CPLC members here participated in. Self-defense, and we got a nice photo of you and Deputy Slowly.
Yeah.
Yes, very impressive. So it was such a success that we decided that we were going to use the Improve logo here as a branding for outreach programs that we do with the community. You know, Improve can mean many things. You know, improving yourself, improving your community. And this really grows out of the hard work of Dave Stinson, who is one of the SROs at Pope John Paul. And you talk about the efforts here. It's dedicated officers such as Dave Stinson that really bring, to fruition the vision that the unit commander has. And so you're going to see this banner a lot, and we're hoping to brand a few things that we have coming down the pipe, and we'll see. When you see Improve, you'll know that it's a 43 division event.
One of the Improve projects, the self-defense was one, but another one was youth teaching adults how to get onto social media and how to use social media and some of the dangers. So the youth were teaching the adults, which is a reversal, but absolutely fantastic, and we want to build on that, go further with that. And our hope is that we can improve the leadership that is taking place in this division through Dave and folks at Pope John Paul, that we can get this spread across the city. That's our goal. And youth teaching adults on social media how to sign on, how to use it. And it's a great initiative, and it's part of the Improve franchise, if you will, or branding, one of the programs. Very good. If there's nothing else, last opportunity to raise an issue. If not, we'll just be quiet.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Proctor. This is not really an issue, but it's something, a concern that I want to bring up, and it goes along with the community initiatives that's taking place on Monday, Thanksgiving morning. Aside from the fact that I'm a candidate running for city council in this ward, something occurred to me and happened on Tuesday, and a family member came up to me and was in distress because he wasn't able to provide food for his family this Thanksgiving. So what we did is we got in contact with the Northville's owner at the corner, and we got them to provide him and his family food for a month. Now that sparked something, my team and I, and what we're going to be doing, and it's going to be on Monday morning. We're going to have a Thanksgiving breakfast out of Shoeless Joe's right there on the morning side of Lawrence. And we're going to invite 100 families or more. We're also right now getting sponsorship to have 100 turkeys so that these families that come in, we can give them a turkey each family as they leave so that they can have something to celebrate and enjoy with their families afterwards. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, where we're trying to get all the mayoral candidates out there, and this is not going to be anything for the media. This is strictly to serve the community and to serve the community only. So I wanted to bring this to CPLC attention, and hopefully you guys can come out. Hopefully you guys can support it. If you guys have any contacts for to get turkeys or to get food, or know of any communities or families that would need something like this, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, and that brings to an end the public portion